Okay, B to G is shoulder slope. So for that, they're having us use number 7, and that's a measurement that goes like this, right? Approximately. So B to G is going to be 17 and 3/16 because we add an 1/8 of an inch ease for that. So 17 and 3/16 from center front to what's going to end up being shoulder tip G. 13/16. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. So sorry, it's 17 and 11/16 plus 1/8 is 17 and 13/16. So this line should be 17 and 13/16 long. Thank you for catching that. It's very important. So G to H is bust depth. So that's the one where I was talking about how they do things interestingly. So let's see, G to H. So they have us measure down from the shoulder tip the bust depth, which is 9 5/8. So that becomes H. And then to make the next, right, the next line is J. No, then they skip up to the shoulder for some reason. So we'll do that. So G to I, they just have us take the shoulder length. So the length from the neck to the shoulder tip, sorry, neck to shoulder tip, high point shoulder to shoulder tip. And that length is 5 1/16. So we just measure from this G line 5 1/16. And then we just tip the ruler until it touches the A to C line. And that becomes our shoulder line. So this is high point shoulder. This is shoulder tip. And we just need to make sure that the length is the right length, which is 5 1/16. And then the next one they do is G to I. J to K. So that's down here. So this, what they have us do is from H, they have us square a line like through the A to B line that intersects with the H. And that distance, what I was telling you, is they have it, the bust span plus 1/4 of an inch. And I say, take away the 1/4 of an inch. And I went ahead and marked that line, but I think to find your bust level, it's better to actually measure down from D, the 9 5/8. Or sorry, I lied, it's not 9 5/8, it's like 7 1/4 or something, 7 1/8. D to J. Oh, they don't do D to J, they do something else. Bust span, J to K. So J to K, they do bust span, which is 3 5/8. So that's the half of the 7 1/4, that's what it is. So 3 5/8, don't add the 1/4 on that. And then D to L, they do half. But first let's do our J. So for J, we are gonna measure down from here to here. So that's our, what measurement is that? Bust depth, I don't know what it's called. Bust depth, number 9. So number 9 is 9 5/8. Minus the 3/8, yeah? Bust depth. Bust depth. 9 5/8. I feel like 9 5/8 is wrong. It should be 7 and something.
The chart is wrong?
No, I'm reading the wrong measurement. Like I know what this is. So let me find it on here so I can give you the right one. Bust span. Yeah, then maybe it's me. I'm getting 7. So you see what I'm looking for, right? So if this is going to go on here, it's not going to fit very well because I need to slash this in order for it to go around here, and I don't want to do that right now. But what I'm looking for is when this is at high point shoulder, right here, this D should be at that pin. Yeah. So this distance from D to what I'm calling J1, that distance is 7 1/8. What's that called?
I don't think they ever actually label it. So make a note.
Yeah, I would
There's a
say.
note section.
Yeah, so number 9, bust depth, says 9 5/8. That number works great on the, I just feel like maybe I'm looking at the wrong name. I don't know what else it could be called. So number 9 says 9 5/8. That works from shoulder tip, like when you're doing it down the strap. But when you measure from the drop neck to the bust level,
That's
bust
what
level,
it is.
bust level, bust level. Must be called bust level. Let's see.
And I don't think it's on there. I don't think it's part of the book.
Okay,
Yeah, because you're
So-
not taking this from the book.
right. So in notes next to number 9, let's write something called, we'll call ours bust level. So we'll call ours bust level. And it's 7 1/16. And that measurement, just so you know, like I don't know if you want to make a note in your book or something, it's from the drop neck to the, yeah,
Did you say 7 to 1/8?
yeah. Isn't that right?
You just said 1/16, so that's
Earlier
right.
you said 1/8, so it's just 1.
It's 7 1/8. You're right. 7 1/8. 1/8. Sorry. And yeah, 7 1/8 is what I wrote here too. So does that make sense? Does that make sense? Is that clear? Right, if this is what I want,
Right?
this is a good double check. But if this is what I want, to me it makes more sense just to measure that and just to mark that rather than to try and extrapolate it from this. Okay? So for me that ended up moving my J, what would have been my J, and I'm now calling it my J1. That ended up moving it like 3/16 up. And then I squared across from there, still through H, the bust span, which is 3 5/8, no 1/4 inch, and that became my K1. So I measured down from D, 7 1/8, and then square across through that line near where H was, but this is a right angle, so I just squared across, and I made a mark at the bust span, which is 3 5/8, and I'm calling that K1. So I have the book J and K, and then I have my J1 and K1. Okay, so 2 ways to do a thing, but for me, my brain just works better with, if I want this, I just want to measure this. I don't want to try and figure out some diagonal thing. I like to use it as a check, but yeah.
Should we do both?
Yeah, I think you should. But when we use the bust level, we're going to use the J1 and K1 because we know, I just tried it on that form. I'm more certain that that's going to look better on our forms. So that's why I like that one. So she has an interesting formula, and I wonder, I haven't really tried it, I wonder if that works well on personal fit, but I'm more comfortable with measuring down, and that's what I would do even if I was doing personal fit. It just seems like more straightforward to me. So there's that. That's a little bit of confusion, so we're over here. Bust span. Okay, so then they have you do D to L. So they want something along here to use as a guideline for where to draw the armhole. So that's what L is about. L is about something to guide us when we draw this weird curve that's like J-shaped and wrapping around the body this way. So that's complicated. So they have us figure out L. So all I did was I folded my paper in half, and I lined up my D mark, and I used my J1 because, like I said, I like that better because I understand it better. It's more straightforward to me. So I used J1 instead of J. And I just folded it in half, made a little crease, and then I cross-marked on my A to B line for L. And then I squared across. I just drew a long line straight across so that it was square. And then I went back and measured for M. So L to M, it says across chest plus 1/4. I didn't add the 1/4 of an inch because on these forms I think it looks better without it. So in your book, make a note, for L to M, it says across chest plus 1/4. So across chest is 6 3/8. trying to decide if I want the quarter or not.
Kill the quarter.
Kill the quarter?
Kill the quarter.
I am changing my mind. I think we're going to keep the quarter. I think we're going to keep it. Sorry. So L to M is 6 3/8 plus the 1/4 inch ease. So that's going to be 6 5/8. I'm thinking I'm thinking about the kind of sleeve we're going to add, and I think that 1/4 inch ease is going to actually be helpful. And I'm a fan of, if you're not sure, do it too big, because you can always trim away. But if you do it too small, you have to cut the whole thing and test it over again. And I'm thinking with the sleeve we have, I think that 1/4 inch is going to be fine. So 6 3/8 plus a 1/4, so L to M is going to be 6 5/8. And just double checking that it's super duper square. And then I'm going to draw a little line, and then I'm going to make it longer. And this is just a guide mark so that we have some spots to rest our French curves in later on when we go to draw the armhole. Yeah, okay. Trying to envision where my curve's going to go, and am I happy with that? And I think I'm okay. But once I have the bottom half of this drafted, I can double check it, and I know I have this little 1/4 inch here play. I think I'm going to like this mark, but I can fix it later if I don't. Okay, so B to F is dart placement. We use that same thing on the skirt. You remember what B to F is?
3 inches.
3 inches. So our dart placement is 3 inches. So this is just going to be the first leg of our dart. So we're going to square out from the A to B line towards E 3 inches. And then I'm going to make a little mark. Your book says to go down 3/16 from there.
It curves it better.
Yeah. So it should be okay. What I'm thinking is, ultimately, the skirt that we drafted has to match this. So we're just going to have to double check this measurement when we draw the waist and make sure that it's still 3, and make sure that our dart is still 3, because we're coming down 3/16 for F. That could lengthen our line a teeny weeny bit, so we'll just have to remember to double check it. And this is because I can't count and talk. 1, 2, 3, 3/16.